Don't be afraid of AI. This is a new series of videos I'm going to do over the next few days that are going to try to stop you worrying so much about the influx of videos that we've seen recently about ChatGPT and how it's going to eat our jobs, because everybody's probably trembling in fear now, worried that in 5 to 10 years time our jobs are all going to go. So I just want to do a few videos now where I pick a particular job role and we talk about practically what that actually means. If we were going to say AI is going to take your job in 5 years, realistically, what does it mean? And so the first one I'm going to do today is a restaurant waiter. So just to go around what a restaurant waiter does, I'm sure we all know, but a restaurant waiter comes to the table, he will take your order, he will give you a lot of good customer service. He'll probably try and upsell you a few things as well, because that's part of his job. He'll clear the table away, he'll go into the kitchen, he will tell the chef what's needed, he'll carry the food back in, and he will take payment usually as well. So if you're going to replace that, how could you do it? Well, if you take it to the extreme, maybe one day we're going to be sat at a table and a virtual person is going to come up to you. So a robot that looks and smells like a real human being is going to come up and take your orders. That's miles and miles away. We don't even have the technology built. If it was, it'd probably cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds in order to do that, and a human being's cheaper. So what's the next one? So next one, if you look at a few steps back from a real life human, you might have something like a motorized truck, autonomous vehicle that comes in. He's got a robotic arm and he can write on a pad, or he can understand what you're saying. Again, that's going to cost a load of money, and also it takes the human out of the whole thing, because I'm sure a lot of us go to a restaurant because we want to be treated. We want to feel like that it's a special occasion, so we need to be able to go there and be waited on. It's a nice experience to have, and also generally a lot of the waiters make the experience better because they have that human element to it. So I don't think that one's going to happen. So what's the third one on the list that we could use to replace a human being waiter? So we could go kiosks. Now, I don't know what it's like around the world, but in the UK, McDonald's, for instance, have gone very much heavy kiosk based. So you go on and you order your big fries, and you're using this kind of big flat computer screen as you go into the shop, and you order it that way, and it's quite nice. You could also order on an app in McDonald's. Now, McDonald's were able to do that because they've got a lot of money and they're able to invest in developers effectively to develop that technology for them. Again, it takes away the human aspect. I don't mind doing that if it's 10 quid for a meal. But if I'm spending the nature of £100, I don't want that hassle. I want to be waited on and served. I want to be able to choose what I want when I want, and to have my plates cleared away. So I also pay for the experience in a restaurant. So those are some of the ways you could physically remove the need for a human being waiter. However, AI, artificial intelligence, could be used for the other side of things. So if you managed to get all of your data into a database, so if you knew who was ordering what they ordered, and all your inventory was in there, and all your opening times are in there, and everything to do with running a restaurant was in there, you could get some really quite cool things to do with AI. For example, AI is quite good at prediction. So if it knows that on a Monday, for some reason, at 7 o'clock, people are coming in, they're all ordering salmon, then potentially you could use some predictive analytics in AI to predict what's going to be ordered over the week by time, and also predict how many people are going to come in. You could feed in, events around your area. Maybe that'll have an impact. So AI could take loads of these feeds from about your environment and your service level to predict and help you run a better restaurant. And also, once again, if you were going to walk into the restaurant and you weren't really sure what you wanted to have, maybe the restaurant owner could give you the equivalent of some kind of chatbot, a bit like a ChatGPT, and you could put in your requirements, tell a little about yourself, and it could give you some kind of recommendation. So that would replace the aspect of when we ask waiters, I'm not sure what I want, can you just give me some recommendations? So AI could be used for that as well. And then the other side of things is probably customer service. So this is possibly a bit more before you've got to the restaurant, where you want to book the restaurant and you want to book a table, and the whole customer service side of things is all done for you, and potentially taking payment as well. So AI and robots could actually replace a good amount of the job of a waiter. But there is a problem there, and the big problem is AI can only really work on data that's in some kind of repository, normally called something like a database. If AI knows about all of the orders, knows about all of the inventory, all of the staff, the salaries, and everything about a restaurant, it could do those kind of things. But the problem you're going to get is that if your data isn't systemized and accessible by some kind of AI model, you can't do the predictive analytics because it doesn't have the data to do it. AI can't suddenly start reading the pad that the waiter uses to take your order. It's not going to happen. So before AI takes over massively, or robots take over massively, I think what we're going to see, and this is going to be a good common theme with a lot of my videos now, we're going to need to appify, as I like to call it, the processes for a waiter. So for example, the waiter would have to start using a tablet. So he'd have to go up to the table with a tablet. The app on the tablet would know exactly what was in stock, what the menus were, what the starters, main courses is, what's the cost of all that. And you'd have to put the table number in. And from the table number, you'd have to put all the order in. And then that would have to get beamed through to the chef, not passed on a piece of paper. And the chef would have to have a chef view of that app with some kind of queuing system so the chef knows what to cook and how long ago it was ordered and all that side of things. But that costs money. So a restaurant could buy that. So you could have some entrepreneurial chap, and there probably is one to be honest, out there that allows you to use some kind of app that's in a restaurant, so a restaurant-based app, sorry, and they could buy that off the shelf, and then potentially, if the data is accessible, you could pass that through to AI. But in many cases, the app won't be what you need. You know, you'll have your own specific requirements. And also the app could cost more money on top of the waiter, because it's not really replacing the waiter, is it? It's just making the waiter's job more efficient, because is it really that efficient if we're writing on a piece of paper and just taking that paper and giving it to the chef and he pins it up, ready to do that? There's not much cost saving, because the waiter's still going to go from the table and he's still going to go into the kitchen. But also the job of that waiter is to, you know, he'll be upselling stuff. He'll be saying, well, if you're going to have that steak, I recommend you have that rioja because it's wicked. Also, the waiter does the great job of bringing the customer back, because if you get good customer service, you go back. So it's not really solving the problem, is it? It's kind of getting you to a few steps towards it. But in all of these cases, you're definitely going to need to appify a set of business processes for AI or robots to be able to access the data. So I think that's part of the big revolution. And until we get to the point where we get rid of paper and we train human beings up, because it's going to be a hybrid thing. We're not just going to go out with the humans, in with this. It's going to be a thing where we work together. So there's going to be some training and change management and acceptance and adoption until we get there. And I think that's a ton of time away, it really is. It's probably 10, 15 years away. It's not really going to happen in the short term. So my suggestion to you is the best thing you can do, really, because obviously I specialise in Power Platform training, is start to learn how to use these apps yourselves, how to build your apps, because some of them are no code. So if you do work in a restaurant, then potentially you could get a Microsoft 365 license and you could start building some of these apps yourself. So all you need to do for it's something like, I don't know, 20 quid a user, I think it is, for the licenses. So you need one for all of your staff. You could create yourself a mobile app that actually allowed you to take orders, and you could do that in Power Apps. If you are in that area and you want to do that, you can do it yourself, because it doesn't require code. It just requires a bit of training. That also positions you brilliantly for the future, because that means that if AI does eventually take your job, you've got yourself some IT skills, so you're able to move with that trend. And if you're able to move with the trend, when things like Metaverse come along, then you'll already have the knowledge of how to build an IT system, and you'll be prepared for the future. So that's the first one in my series of Don't Be Scared of AI. If you like it, leave a comment. If you don't like it, leave a comment. I won't do them anymore, but I hope this has been of some use, and I'm just trying to allay some of the fears out there that AI is not going to take your job anytime soon. Ta-la.